Lisa, we're really happy to have you back.
Thanks for inviting me. Perfect timing.
Hey,
Great
perfect
day.
timing.
Hey, I think we're all pretty stoked.
We're all very stoked.
This is
Why
good.
is
This is a
that?
good day for Bitcoin, though.
It's a great day for Bitcoin.
It's gonna be a lot of good days for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I'm very excited. We kind of impromptu show. We called Lisa yesterday, see if you wanted to come on. You are one of the very few repeat guests we had. I think Mario, Andrew, Birchwell, and Lisa. I think that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd have Mario on every week.
We
just can't track him down.
Right. He's
That's
always
the
gone.
thing. He's like Pitbull. You know, he's all over the world.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. That's him. But yeah.
Well, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back. You always got a lot of stuff going on, and you're very active on social media, and figured you'd have some good stuff to talk about from the political world and just kind of your thoughts on it and all that. And we could just hang out. So welcome back.
Thanks.
How are you feeling about the post-Trump second victory results?
I mean, democracy was saved.
I can't argue with that.
It's crazy to think what would have happened had Elon not bought X, had Elon not camped out in Pennsylvania, which is obviously one of the most pivotal swing states for us. And what would have happened if they didn't do the full like podcast blitzkrieg? Because if you see like young males showed out like in record numbers, right? And that was really like the demographic that they went after, but pulled it off. And like you said, I think that you're absolutely right. I think did potentially save democracy.
No, we big time saved democracy. Right? Otherwise, we were doomed for more inflation, more war, more headless horseman style leadership. I mean, I think probably what I'm most excited about is just the cooperation by other world leaders who have reached out to Trump, who, you know, I don't think they're necessarily extending an olive branch, but an open channel of communication between leaders that isn't staged. It's a really good start. And, you know, it's a big wide world. We didn't used to face the same threats that we face today. We used to have the ocean, and that was enough of a barrier. But now that we have all of the military technology and drones and everything else, I mean, we kind of, I think, all are incentivized to be on our best behavior and put our innovation best foot forward, right? Like we can win globally when we're allowed to innovate. And when you have an administration who wants to shut down, I mean, you know, we could talk about energy, but when you have an administration that just wants to be like an overbearing parent and never allow the industry and innovation to grow, it's pretty bad for a country. I mean, then we're really just kind of on our way to being, not to name names, but like Iran.
Right. Well, and I think that the difference this time with, you know, as opposed to 2016 and how people reacted, including a lot of folks around the world, was, you know, he didn't win the popular vote. He didn't have a full Congress behind him, which is looking like he's probably going to this time, which could make this, in my opinion, probably the most business-friendly administration we may have ever had, which is really exciting for all of us. I feel like everybody, all three of us in particular, are probably a lot more entrepreneurial and kind of, you know, we're going to go out there and stick our neck in the line, going after opportunities and ideas and pushing things. And that is an environment that I feel like America was created on. And at this point now, we have an administration that's going to facilitate that, grow that, push for that, open up doors, remove bureaucracy, red tape, all the garbage that we kind of have always had to put up with. At least in my entrepreneurial career, it's been the vast majority of it. So like I'm super fired up. And I'm excited that he has not only won the election, but he won it decisively. He won the popular vote. He's got the Senate pretty handedly. And now he's probably going to get the House too. Man, this is like, not only are we going to get policies that we like, but cabinet appointees that we probably like. And so, and I don't care. I know people are scared of like billionaires and all that sometimes. I'm excited to see what Elon can do.
That's what I'm
his
most excited about.
Well, my most excitement is RFK being in there.
I'd say I'm equally excited. I think there's, especially with him trying to, make America healthy again.
I say this while I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, as you're drinking Dr. Pepper. My Gatorade has 0 sugar. Not trying to get cancer.
Yeah, that poison stuff.
That's gonna be really interesting. And so it's a super team between Elon coming in and hopefully stripping out a lot of just the unneeded excess that is in the government. I mean, you've seen what he's done with like SpaceX. Like, what can you do whenever you have like free reign to come in and just chop out?
It's gonna be exciting.
It's gonna be super exciting, and so that's really cool. RFK. Vance is, the more I hear him talk, the more I like him. I think he's a very interesting character. And I think that as of right now, it seems like he could very well succeed Trump after this and probably win, depending on who the Dems want to kind of run against him. So I think that this is the start of probably a long-term kind of Republican administration.
This is an uptrend.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is a pivotal point in our history. Right, we probably have not seen a greater period since, I don't know, maybe the beginning of early 1900s, just when you finally have the ability to have innovation begin to have a foothold in every piece of the economy. Right, we electrified, I think, the first houses like 1912, 1914, something like that, and that led to the growth of every other industry. And now we have this sort of Bitcoinification of the world and all of the industry and the prosperity that brings. And I was telling you guys before we went on, I mean, I've just spent 2 meetings, about 4 hours, with one private equity group and one energy investment banking group who 3 years ago would not pick up the phone, who were like, we're kind of not working on that, or couldn't get it across the finish line in one case, as you were talking to the same group. And now it's like, okay, let's talk about that again. Exactly. Tell me exactly how this impacts energy. Tell me, okay, but wait, make the national security leap. I heard you say something about national security, right? Like that is becoming a more common part of the conversation than Bitcoin, the asset, it's going to $1 million. Let's do 1% in our portfolio. What if the world does 5%? Like, I think that's really interesting. And that's why we probably all got into Bitcoin, because we saw the potential for us to improve our own lives. But really, now that you're in it, like, I haven't even looked at the price. Someone texted me and said, oh my God, like all-time high. And I'm like, what does that even mean anymore? Because I'm not going to be shocked when I wake up one day and it's $20,000 higher than when I went to bed.
Right.
I'm just like, it won't even faze me. It won't be. I really have been wondering why I don't wake up and it's not in the hundreds of thousands.
Isn't that funny
already?
Though? Oh, I agree.
It will
I don't think we're that far away, but
especially with Saylor's 21-21 plan.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see that?
What are you talking? Is that basically
issued $21 billion in debt, $21 billion in equity to buy I think it like shook out to be like $40 million worth of Bitcoin a day for the next 36 months.
Yeah.
Like there's not enough supply on the market.
No.
So it's going to force price appreciation. And then
there hasn't been enough supply on the market for a long time. But you're right. Throwing that in there is, this is a whole different, I think why I'm so excited is because of how contrasting the viewpoints were from the sides. Right. And like, I've never backed away or shied away from my feelings about, like, I am probably closer to an anarchist than I am a Republican or a Democrat or anything. I know, right? I don't have crazy hair going, but I just look at it like somebody's going to get in office, okay? And I listened to Trump at the Bitcoin conference, and I'm being honest, it didn't impress me. What impressed me or made me excited was just the pure fact that he was open to this and that he recognized the potential, which I think is probably one of his best skills, is recognizing movement and pattern and things like that. I think completely. I think it's one of his number one. That's why he's had so much success, just being out there. And he recognizes that this base, the Bitcoin base, is real, it's impactful, and there's enough people behind it that he recognizes it's probably going to be a good thing. And so he'll sure, he's talking about the whatever world coin or whatever freedom coin. That stuff will go away. He's got enough people, I think, that are coming into his circle that are going to kind of recalibrate him and bring him back to the Bitcoin kind of position. And I saw Bukele and him have talked a lot over the last 2 days already. So I'm like, that's going to develop and he's going to evolve. And just the amount of excitement that he has brought to people that would have never gotten into Bitcoin or even considered getting into Bitcoin, which, let's be honest, is a lot of, boomers and blue hairs that normally want it. Now it's a completely different ballgame. Just like when you're talking to the private equity groups, we can go talk to your everyday like Trump supporter that's older, and they would have never listened before. They would have never listened. You remember just 3-4 years ago, he was like, Bitcoin's bad, whatever, he was all against it. And so now, though, with his change of position on it, all those people, all of them, they're not going to have any issues.
Yeah, but shout out to him for surrounding himself with people that are very knowledgeable on the topic and not buying into the Elizabeth Warren, who I consider to be one of the largest domestic threats to national security. But he surrounded himself with great advisors, right? He spent a lot of time with the miners in our space. He spent, apparently it looks like a lot of time with David Bailey and some members of Bitcoin Magazine and that broader team.
Yep.
And, really hats off and everything to David Bailey for sticking with this crazy Bitcoin idea and staking so much capital for so long, right? And just being spit on and cast aside. And now you have a president who is asking for your, not advice, but who is seeking counsel to try to understand, wait, let's actually peel back and see what's here. Because the prescribed notion that our legacy media, I refuse to call it mainstream media, legacy media, which is on its way to a slow death like every other crypto token.
Man, I think after this last election, this is going to speed up.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Most people have allowed the mainstream media, as Eric Weinberg would say, is that his name, Weinberg? Weinstein? Guy with the curly dark hair? Oh my gosh, he's one of my favorite people. But, we've been infected with this malware and everybody just needs to reboot the brain and purge the malware so that we can really begin to hear the truth and understand what this really looks like and how this will help us grow our sovereignty, become less dependent. And actually, I just think back to where we started, creates for a much smoother diplomatic setting globally, right? If you have the ability for nations who can cooperate, but, I'm going to go live my life over here. We believe in this, you believe in that, but great, we're going to use a common money. Neither of us can F it up. Like that pushes us to really find solutions instead of the financial engineering, the financial sanctions, all of the ways that we've punished each other, right? It's like, it really makes you resolve and try to work together so that we can keep trade routes open, so that we can, let's fight and see who innovates in the strongest manner. And that's coming back to where we kind of started. Like, to me, that's what's super hopeful about him being in office, is our ability to innovate and continue to build technology, which, in my view, Bitcoin and protocols like Nostr will let us re-architect the internet in a more sovereign way so that we have control and we are not censored by the media or Google or, Google, what the hell? With all of the BS that they had going on in their search. You would try to search for Trump or Bitcoin.
Rogan.
They took the Bitcoin ticker off the like that was the most anti-freedom.
That I agree. Like I can't. This is the areas where I'm like, this election exposed so much stuff from the higher levels to me, like from the mainstream media, legacy media. These companies that have kind of controlled so many aspects.
Facebook, when Zuckerberg came out and said, hey, listen, we did this in the last election because we were asked to. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of I was very shocked. He was like, I'm being open kimono about it. We're not doing it this election and we're correcting our wrongs, from the past. That was like wild to me. And it seems like over time, I don't know, this whole rebrand of Zuck has been kind of wild, but he just becomes more and more like based over
more
time.
Elon?
Yeah, exactly. Like
more Elon-esque.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to watch.
Yeah, but I think he recognizes too what's happening. I think there's a big shift. I think right now, like you watch the polls. I remember I got asked by somebody, it was a board member of this company I've been working with. He's like, all right, well, who's going to win? International guy. Who's going to win the election tomorrow? And I'm like, my gut said Trump always, right? But then your brain, you watch these polls and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, if they're right, then I'm concerned Kamala could win. But my gut just tells me, because I talk to people and you see the problems that have been going on over the last 4 years. And frankly, like I think inflation is something it's not going to stop whether Trump's in there. It's not going to, Trump printed a lot of money for the COVID funds, it was a ton. So like none of that's going to change. But from a policy standpoint and opening up the doors to business and in my opinion, a lot of the social issues that I think were a big reason why people rejected the left was this went too far. And like, we have families that we are in control of, not you. We're rejecting a lot of this overreach or interference by the government into our family lives. And then on top of it, I think the big media, Google, those types, I think what Mark Zuckerberg is realizing is there's a shift happening from a consciousness level of people in the US and probably around the world too, of just recognizing that everything you guys are telling us is lies. And it's not what you're trying to tell us it should be like or how it is. We know Kamala was never ahead in this polling stuff. Like, where are they getting these numbers? Do you see the Iowa poll that came out like 2 days before the election?
It was like, Iowa's done. She's won it.
She's going to win Iowa. She lost by like 15 points in Iowa. Like, what are you talking about? And they're talking about it on every channel. And I always like to watch like MSNBC or CNN on election day. I watch news one night every 4 years, and it's freaking election.
It was the only time I've turned that on.
Only time. And so I watched that, and you can tell. I mean, you could tell from the minute the results started coming in, this ain't looking like what they tried to tell us it was for the past 3 months, where there's so much excitement. She's going to take this. She's going to win. Every single Democratic strategist coming out. Oh, I guarantee she's going to win. This is over. It's in the bag. Trump's toast, yada, yada. And it was not even that close in nowadays kind of, terms or how you would analyze it. It wasn't even that close of an election. Like, he outperformed almost every single spot in the entire country. New York, he lost by 5 points. In New York. That's wild.
That's
New Jersey,
crazy.
5 points. Like,
did you pay attention to Polymarket at all?
I was watching a little bit, and
that's fascinating. And the predictions on Polymarket were 100% accurate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where it's like, man, the shift has happened where everyday people, like, we don't get our news from the garbage that they put on TV. That's not where we get our news anymore.
Even watching Fox, NBC, whoever I was watching the election thing, I had Twitter pulled up or X pulled up the entire time to fact check everything that I was seeing.
Yeah.
Right. But even on there, I mean, you have a lot of people who are still running the whole Iowa thing and a variety of other, just seems like, I don't know.
I don't know how you were able to do that. I had my iPad, my computer, my phone. I had one on the Bitcoin Magazine live stream. I had Bitcoin veterans on. I had another Twitter space on. I can't remember who it was, but like I never even looked at the mainstream media. I think that they have done such a disservice to Americans by telling us that we are that we need to be taken care of.
Oh yeah,
right. That we are the suffering and then blah blah blah. Like I went to the hardware store today early this morning about 8, and I'm in a tiny little hardware store, park in the parking lot, and this woman who's probably 10 years older than I am, gets out. She's all slouched over. She's got her Harris sticker on the back of her car. And she just looked pathetic. She looked beaten down and like miserable. And I thought, all she does all day is sit in front of some mainstream news channel and listen to how miserable Americans are.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. We're not miserable.
No.
Right? You can go anywhere in America, and whether you're at some sort of Sonic movie theater, people are not miserable and people are not helpless. When did we decide it was okay to tell everybody that they were just, we'll take care of you, we're here for you? Like it is such a vote of no confidence in a society when your leadership isn't like, get off your ass and go do something, like go build something. We've taken on this whole mentality like we need to take care of the world. And it's like, stop. You can't raise successful children when you have your arms around them all the time.
Or you tell them there's something like you're justified in your feelings right now forever. And that's why it's ridiculous. The only thing better than watching MSNBC and CNN on an election night with Trump in there is watching, like going to Twitter and looking at all the like crying liberals posts. Those are pretty.
The meltdown on The View?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That took the cake.
Oh, I can't even say his name.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Well, you know what? I still don't know how to say her name, and I'm not going to learn.
Well, the thing is, too, they were friends for a long time. You know what I mean? That's where it's like, what? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. How? You guys were all friends. You guys all loved him before, and now you don't? Like, but that also is a problem. It's like, we can't be friends with each other. And it's like, man, fine, whatever. Like, we're going to go build stuff. You guys go cry. I saw another post from a professor about, I know your anxiety is probably through the roof and we've got to protect each other now and blah, blah. Nobody needs to come to class today, so give you time to go. Good Lord. Like, you guys are hopeless. If that's going to crush you to where you can't go put something together, go to class. You can't go to class because you're upset that someone, the guy you wanted to lose, won.
You can't go to class, but you can drive through Starbucks, and you definitely want the miracle on the wall to happen, right?
The miracle on the wall.
You want the light switch. You want that thing to work.
Yeah.
Right. You want the absolute miracle.
The little light fairies.
The genius of the energy infrastructure. All those people went to work, right? I guarantee you there was not an oil field service guy that didn't show up for work.
Yeah. No, they were probably happy.
And they all probably voted for Trump anyway. Right. But even if they hadn't, they'd still freaking go to work.
Right.
This whole notion that take some time and get your feelings together, like, get the fuck out of here.
Could you imagine if all of a sudden we brought back somebody from the past, one of the founding fathers, and we dropped them off here, and then they see it and they're like, what do you mean? You just need to like take a mental health day. You know what I mean? Like,
mental health days, man. I've heard that term a lot over the last couple of years. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Like, you need a vacation? Good, go take a vacation. But
just go take a vacation.
The softness of so many people, and it's people who've been coddled their entire lives, or they've lived inside their little neighborhood, and they've never been outside the country. They've never they don't have any sort of like grasp at like how good we have it here.
Right. And we do have it good.
Well, because they don't think, right? I also, I believe that a lot of that is in this prescribed notion of what an American's life is supposed to look like. We put our kids in school from the minute they can go to school, and we trust in the institution that they will get out and, then our kids fight for like 2 years in order to get into college, and they hopefully get into a place where they actually enjoy the discourse that takes place in the classrooms. I particularly did not. I was not motivated by school, but we're taught that we have to be told what to do. We're not encouraged to go out and, like, I don't know, you tell me. What do you think? How are we going to fix this? Right? Like, that's why I think the most hopeful thing about Bitcoin is all of the young people who are in it. The Shamery family that has the little purple monster, and they have games, and their daughter, who I think is 5, comes to every Bitcoin conference, and she sells. I wore all her bracelets to vote. And she sells her little bracelets for Bitcoin. No, I'll tell you another funny story on that. All those kids, Sophia Prince, Daniel Prince's daughter, you know, all of the kids around the world who have joined the Bitcoin Students Network, they're in like, they had their first kind of collective meeting. I think they sent out 180 Zoom invites, and they all hopped on last Saturday. Not all of them, but I mean 70 or 80 kids from around the world hopped on to talk about the clubs that they've built around the world.
Awesome.
Like, pretty darn cool, because what you're really saying is we're building clubs of independent thinkers.
Yeah.
You know, we're not building clubs so that, and it's really frustrating to Ella, my daughter, because she looks at the numbers of her club and they're really dwarfed. This is hilarious. They're dwarfed by the finance club at her school.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, God bless the number of those guys that want to go work at Wells Fargo or Goldman. And none of those places are going to exist in 50 years. Like, the irony.
Well, and just, you know, we're early, still early, even though it's grown so much in the last 4 years, we're still early. Penguin Digital does a deal, an academy down in South America that's really cool with coding and working with kids on, you know, you come in, and their whole concept is like, we're not going to sit here and teach you everything. Like, you're going to problem solve, and you learn a lot of this stuff on your own. And then they got to present, and they do all that. I'm like, man, that's great. That kind of stuff. And that comes from like this whole Bitcoin kind of education ecosystem that they're trying to create. El Salvador is doing a lot of it too. And so there's just so much good that comes from the whole Bitcoin, I don't know, society that we have. And that's why this is such a relief for me for the election, is like, we can keep going now. Because, I mean, the left has been so aggressively anti-Bitcoin from the top level. Not. I know there's people on the left that are supporters, and that will grow as education comes, hopefully. But just to this point, it's been pretty vehemently anti-Bitcoin and led by Elizabeth Warren, our favorite senator. She's a freaking clown. But that's, you know, that's kind of what we avoided with this. And that's why I'm like, man, this is a relief. And then the cherry on top is winning Congress, because, man, I mean, I know I already said it, but there's literally, I can't think of a time where it would be a more business-friendly administration than what we're going to have coming in. And I don't think there's a better time that we needed that. And that's one of the things, like, you never know how things are going to work out. You know, there's that Chinese parable about the farmer and his son getting hurt and all that. You know, I could go on, I'll probably screw it all up, but basically the gist of it is we never know if something's good or bad, right? And so you got to stay even kill and just like let the universe work and let these things fall into place. This is one where I can look at it and I can say, this is definitely a better thing for us than the alternative would have been. And I also think it's probably good that Trump lost to Biden 4 years ago, because now he's got a Congress behind him. He wouldn't have had the Senate behind him last time. It would have been a much more deadlocked kind of situation. Now the doors are wide open for whatever they want to kind of cut the red tape. We can get Elon involved. You can get RFK involved. They would have never got past the Senate confirmation before. Never. So now there's a chance for that to happen. I'm not saying it will for sure, because I know how freaking radical the left can tend to be, and they'll try to block stuff, but you only got to win over a few at this point. So it's like, Man.
So do we see a Bitcoin strategic reserve?
That was going to be my next question. How is that going to look? How are they going to stockpile that? Like, you are much more savvy on the whole kind of financial sector and all. How would you see that happening?
Well, I'm not sure that they'll publish it, but if they don't, I'll publish it somewhere. I actually tried to put it on LinkedIn today, and it was too long. They wouldn't take it. But I wrote an article and I sent it over to Bitcoin Magazine as to, how does this really work? And all right, are you ready to actually, I don't even need my phone for this, but because this is literally what I believe. This is where I want to focus. But this is something that I know you guys are going to
love.
I know that you're going to really embrace. Yes, we can buy Bitcoin. We can print. We can take what we've confiscated, roughly 200 change. We confiscated from Bitfinex and Silk Road. Yes, that's a great start. But how do we get the rest of it? And then, are we really after the rest of it? Like, are we really after Bitcoin? Or are we also more visionary? And are we considering that we are re-architecting the internet, and that in order to have a say in the future communication network, right? Like, we don't use the post office. We've all gone to the internet. We've built companies on top of the protocol. It is my thesis that we need onshore hash rate. We need Bitcoin to be here, Bitcoin mining to be here, so that we can participate in not only the financial system of the future, but the information transfer system of the future, right? Bitcoin being the first use case of that network. I'm not smart enough to know what all the use cases would be, but if it's the most secure way to share communication, we'll use it for lots of other things. So you buying Bitcoin, like Michael Saylor going to Coinbase or Fidelity, I don't know how he buys it, but going somewhere to buy
That's a lot of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin,
Yeah, right.
I mean, Cantor, I don't know who his desk is, but we need that hash rate. And so we need, I said this earlier to an investment banker who banks energy. I said, we need onshore, like we need onshore energy production, we need onshore hash rate. And he said, well, what about the Gulf of Mexico? And I said, yeah. We need U.S. energy production, and we need U.S. hash rate. And I mean, I host dinners about once a quarter. I've invited you guys. You've never come.
We haven't got one in a while.
I know, it's time for another one. It is time for another one.
Yeah.
But I put together a dinner with the founder of one of the largest offshore production companies. And he's out of the business now. He's retired. But, and I said to him, I was trying to explain Bitcoin. And I always find that it's easier to explain it if I can explain how it's beneficial to someone else. And I said, look, if you've got all these rigs in the Gulf and, you've got natural gas, you've literally gone 10,000 feet to the bottom of the ocean or whatever. And the size of this table, you're basically able to target the spot on the table, drill, and then extract something from the earth, and then bring it up, put it in a pipeline, and then the ferries make
electricity,
the magic switch work, right? The light switch. And you only get, let's say that you get the NYMEX price for it. You get the Henry Hub NYMEX price for it, and probably in the best case in the Gulf. And I traded Gulf Coast, so there's a bunch of pipelines down there, but more or less they're about the same price. Let's say you get $1 more than Henry Hub, so let's say it's $3 in MCF. I can put a drill ship, a crappy old drill ship, next to the rig, and you can send the natural gas to that drill ship where I have containers with Bitcoin miners. And you can basically translate commodity to commodity. And if you so choose, you could extract $4 an MCF or $6 an MCF.
Shoot.
Right? In
I
the
think even
conversion.
right now it's like 7 still.
So
Yeah.
if you've got, we do this, we take energy and we make steel and the spread between those, right? We are always seeking to optimize inputs for outputs.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, we're never going to do it. And I said, oh, okay, all right. I try to be humble. Why not? Well, because OSHA this, and, they won't even let me put a toilet on a rig. It takes all this, blah, blah, blah. And I went, okay. But when the U.S. government realizes that they must have this mining computational power within their borders, they will bend the knee. I absolutely believe that the U.S. Is going to will want to offer incentives to all the energy companies to help them extract hash rate from their operations. So whether that's, whatever sort of regulatory stuff is necessary offshore, if that is helping midstream guys see how they can turn unutilized power into availability for mining so that you can set up miners. Mm-hmm. If that's on a pad site where I'm working on something right now where we've got a public energy company who has oil and gas coming out of the ground. They have an operator that they work with. The operator is taking the natural gas liquids. They're stripping the liquids. The oil is going into a pipeline. The natural gas is coming to an operator. They're running the refrigeration units to separate. They're tanking off the propane or the other fuel, and they're left with methane. And right now they've got CNG out there so that they can compress it and put it in a truck. But it's expensive. Like it's the economics of it are making it challenging, and for some other reasons they want to make a change. That oil is shut in right now because there's nowhere to go just with that methane that's left. And so, we're helping them resolve that by introducing them to some miners. Think about all of the places around the U.S. that we can start doing this.
Oh, you remember what I used to do, right?
I know.
We talk about natural gas all the time, but yeah,
I know.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So really, we're going to have this approach because, I think most people are aware that the demand for power is just this like monster that's coming, and we can see it coming. And I always refer people to the Goldman Sachs report that came out in April, where they basically forecasted what the next 10 years of demand looks like. And it's really, and their research was focused on data centers. And it says in their paper, this excludes any Bitcoin mining demand.
Oh, really?
It's like building 3 New York cities. We have 3 New York cities that need to be built of energy infrastructure to meet the demand that they see coming.
So is Elizabeth Warren anti-AI? No, she's not, which is absurd. I mean, I'm not anti-AI either, but it's the hypocrisy of this. Sorry, had to throw that in there.
Let's mention her as many times as possible.
Right, I know.
I love it.
I would love to have her on.
Oh my gosh.
That would never happen, but yeah. Sorry.
So the punchline is, if the AI companies can pay orders of magnitude more, if they have more margin than a Bitcoin miner, they're always going to be able to go to the best, highest use energy, right? They will get nuclear back off the ground. I saw
commercials for nuclear, like pumping nuclear, not very long ago when we were in Florida. I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. They're like, oh, and it just produces water vapor. And the guy's like, oh, it's great. And he's like tanning. I'm like, wow, this is wild. I did not know that this was a thing, but cool.
It's crazy that AI has become the Trojan horse.
Y'all actually had a really cool event here last week. The Texas Nuclear Alliance. It was here in your office. I came. It was last Tuesday night.
I was not here, but I heard about it.
It was great.
Was it?
Yeah. It was great. So anyway, let's back up. So the the data center guys can pay more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The demand is huge.
Mm-hmm. It's not flexible load though.
Right.
That's a big
And
big
the demand
difference.
will not be met with what is available on grid
Right.
for the next 15 years. Right. And so I think kind of to your point, to kind of come full circle, is we have this extremely dense energy when there's a better market for the gas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple different buyers. There's Bitcoin at a certain price. But to your point, these FANG companies are relatively insensitive because they have so much margin on the AI side that they can come in and pay an astronomical amount. And all of a sudden your netback's $12 an MCF. Why are you still selling your gas to the pipeline?
Right. So to circle back, if the U.S. wants to participate in the financial infrastructure, we've got to have this within our borders.
Mm-hmm.
And, short of building all sorts of natural gas plants, which I think are the fastest, and it would certainly make the natural gas guys happy because there's such a glut of it.
Yeah.
But the 1 megawatt here, the 10 megawatt there, the 15 megawatt, like, does Microsoft really want to deal with 1 megawatt chunks? Probably not. But are there Bitcoin miners that would? Oh, I can for sure tell you that there are.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, I've talked about this a couple of times. We have, the more AI you have, which is not going away, you're going to need flexible load to offset some of that. You just have to. And so you will need Bitcoin mining to basically be the balancer for the AI and the large scale HPC stuff coming on. You just will. I don't think there's any other thing that can fill that gap. So like, what was do you remember the number? The 3 New York cities, right? And they all want to be near areas that are probably more populated because you want high speed fiber and all that. So you've got to be in a more developed area. So where are you going to get that amount of power in Dallas or Austin? Like, there's not very many. So you're going to have to build generation, right? And you're going to have to go build out these facilities.
3 to 5 years.
Right, 3 to 5 years. And if you're doing that on grid, boy, that's a big, big thing for making sure you have a consistent, balanced load in this major population center. If you don't have Bitcoin mining around, you're going to have to almost co-locate a lot of this stuff. I think I just really do.
100%.
Like, I don't think there's any other option.
No,
so,
100%.
I think the future's bright for that same reason.
No pun intended.
Yeah, right. Little bright fairies, little light fairies. But yeah, I think that the strategic reserve of Bitcoin is. I agree. I think it's something they'll get forced into. I tend to think that we're not, at least I'm hoping, as far behind the curve as sometimes it feels like from the U.S. standpoint. And maybe there's actually some, I know, I'm hoping, Lisa, this is a hope.
You think Biden had this figured out?
No, okay. I don't think Biden had anything to do with this. I think it's coming from more of the national security.
I think Biden knows what day it is.
Why would you say that?
Well, I'm just saying I'm hoping that there is this thought process of, because I did see the U.S. government is like the number 1 holder of Bitcoin in the world.
Because they confiscated 200,000 coins.
Right. I agree. I'm not saying it was all.
But yet we trade our strategic petroleum reserve. We trade it.
I know. I'm not saying the administration.
I mean, do we trade our pharmaceutical supply? Do we trade?
No. Well, they want to poison us more. So they just keep pumping us.
But like we do not we do not have long-term thinking. We do not have long-term thinkers.
All I'm saying is I hope we have some people in there that understand, like, maybe this whole dumb decisions on their part, they've got a backup plan of like, we know what we're doing. We are hoarding some Bitcoin, ways you just might not know it. And we're going to basically stack a reserve with some of these things that have been confiscated.
I'm just like being funny with you. But I mean, after it was announced at the Bitcoin conference, Cynthia Lummis came on stage and, let's do a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Actually, I don't actually remember the order of operations here because we've been talking about a strategic reserve for so long. RFK was very positive. And then, of course, Trump said very positive. I mean, he's gone so far as to say every new Bitcoin should be made in the US. I mean, okay, love the thought. I totally forgot where I was going.
About how dumb the government is. I agree, Lisa.
All this gets talked about at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. Shout out the Bitcoin conference and Bitcoin Magazine, David Bailey. They talk about this, and then what does the U.S. government do? They issue another, let's sell some more of our Bitcoin. It's like the idiots in Germany.
Yeah.
We're going to get rid of all of our energy sources. We're going to go back to burning wood. Like, okay, yeah. No, I agree. I'm just saying, I'm hoping they're, like, who are the buyers of those Bitcoin? Who are they selling to? Sailor, you think? Maybe.
Russia.
Maybe. But I'm hoping maybe that is also, I'm taking from this pocket, putting in this one type of deal. And you're buying at a discount because they're auctioning a lot of that stuff off, right? BlackRock.
Which is really the banks.
Right.
I wrote something about this. I was so curious on the inflows of the IBIT ETF. Like, who is buying this? This has to be institutional, but like, is it retail? Who is it? And I published a list of who it is. It's all the, it's funds. It's the globally significant banks. It's, that type of huge institutional base.
So is that where most like the Mt. Gox and all that stuff, is that who they're selling to, or the big banks?
I mean, I would think, right?
Yeah. I was going to say,
the inflow into, doesn't BlackRock hold?
BlackRock holds a ton now, yeah.
Unfathomable amount already in 9 months.
Yeah.
Or 10 months, whatever spent.
If you just look at the inflows to them versus, I think even if you remove the rest of the ETFs and just looked at theirs, they may themselves be outstripping the daily supply.
Oh, they for sure are. One day, was it last week in total, or one day last week? In the last 10 days, so they've taken I think it was one day, they bought 12,123 coins, essentially. Yeah. And we make 450.
Right. Right.
Houston, we have a problem.
Imagine, and I know this isn't a one-to-one correlation, but imagine if oil, which we're producing worldwide about 95 million barrels a day, we consume worldwide about 95 million barrels a day. Could you imagine if we were needing 95 million barrels a day and we only produced 9.5 million barrels a day? The price of oil would be? It's absurd. It's insane. So, yeah, I mean, it's very, very stark contrast. Like, people don't even realize how far below the price we are, like the real price of what it should be. I even think we're so far below what the real price of Bitcoin should be. And when people start realizing that, and I think it's, I don't want to do price predictions. I think they get silly because I'm like you. I rarely even check the price. Like, I hadn't even checked it the other day until election day, until somebody texted me, and I was like, oh, I should check. And I'm like, oh, Trump mounts, that's great. So, but when people realize like what it is, and you see the thing about Russia, and they're putting a bunch of infrastructure into Bitcoin mining. I don't care if people like Russia or not. It's just a reality of like what the rest of the world is starting to pick up on already. When that stuff happens and we start realizing like, man, everybody else is going this way. The BRICS nations make up more of the world's GDP than the G7 do now. They're all going Bitcoin. Like, this is going to freaking explode when it hits.
Right. And I mean, shout out to Ella Hough yesterday.
No relation?
I'm sorry. I'm only going to do it like 5 times on the show. I'm going to really withhold. But she wrote something, and it was so breathtaking to me. She sent it to me before she put it on Twitter, and noted that, I think we're all familiar with kind of 80-year cycles in fiat currencies.
Yeah.
Right. But in 1944 was the Bretton Woods Summit with 44 nations. And in 2024, we had 36 nations gather.
Really?
BRICS.
Were
36 of them.
Wow.
Last week. And so...
You see nothing about BRICS on the mainstream media?
No, of course you don't.
Rarely ever. I saw something on CNBC. The dude without talking about it, but he's like, do we not realize the freaking BRICS is larger than the G7?
Right.
At this point.
Right. And so, it's really my thesis that BRICS if they are, or if they're able to coordinate some sort of a currency that they use. I mean, I really see them back to like the barter system, and you might as well just make marks on wood or sort of tally stick. But
here's a bar of soap.
No, I heard today that they, two of the countries are trying to figure out how to barter two different commodities.
Oh, wow.
Like, you give me this many of this, and I'll give you this many. I'm like, people, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Like,
take Bitcoin, price it in Bitcoin.
Mark my words, inside of 1 year from today, Russia will be accepting Bitcoin or demanding Bitcoin for their natural gas.
I completely agree
second
with
largest
you on that.
producer in the world. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for them to be selling one of the most precious commodities on earth for any other Fed token or fiat token. Right? Why would you sell this?
I don't think they will. I think I'm with you. I think it'll be a bit. They will not take something else.
Why do people sell their gold for dollars? Like, if I had gold and I was going to sell it, I might sell it for like Malibu real estate. Why would I ever sell gold for dollars? Like, people need to stop the dollar mentality of this is how we value everything, because that is like that is not a steady measure.
You're gonna get me into some spiritual stuff here, Lisa. Okay, I agree with you totally, but we're so programmed. From the second we enter this realm, we are programmed in this fiat system, and so it's really hard for a lot of people to get past that. We're the chosen ones, so I feel like I'm like, wow,
here we go.
Yeah, well. It's hard. Like, I think it's hard for people to get past some of that stuff, but that's why we're here to kind of, I don't want to say, I said this with Andrew last week, but we're the evangelicals of this Bitcoin movement, right? And so we are here to educate, but it's going to take people time. But back to the election, I think this administration can help speed this process up
big time
so much. And I think they will. I think they already have. But I think they can a lot more over the next 4 years. And to your point about Vance, when he picked, sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place, my bad. But when he picked Vance, I was kind of like, man, I really wanted to see him pick RFK, because when they switched to Kamala, which was how people don't see what a freaking scam that was, and like how a setup, when tinfoil hats, but this has been a plan clearly. But she got that little fake boost of excitement going. I was like, man, when RFK dropped out, freaking drop Vance and pick RFK. That would give you a huge boost on excitement. You pull in a lot of the middle that might be on the fence for whatever reason. You pull a lot of them into your camp and all that. Now that he won, I'm like, this is actually a better setup, because I think Vance is perfect to kind of take the torch in 4 years and carry on. And we got to have it for 12 years, potentially a so business friendly administration. And I guarantee that Congress will be there, 4 years from now, 8 years from now, whatever. But setting up a torch bearer that you can kind of hand it off to after this is a big deal.
Right.
And everything is lined up for like hyper Bitcoinization.
Right.
It really is to me.
But okay, so let's take this back to what was the term that you used? Something about faith or biblical, or what was the first term that you used?
The evangelicals.
Before that, you said something. It doesn't matter. But
Spiritual.
Yeah.
Spiritual. I mean, if we really think about why we're here, right? And I really believe that we were put here to help others.
Right.
We need to live in the spirit of abundant effort for the benefit of others. And we think, if you believe in Jesus Christ, and I do, I mean, that is the spirit in which he lived. Mm-hmm. He was put here to work for the abundance of others. And so, I think Bitcoin, we're sort of put on the, people call me a zealot, might call you a zealot or an evangelist or what have you, but we're really working so that the world can live in an abundant future.
Mm-hmm.
You love your children. I love mine. You love your kids. We're creating an abundant place where they can have meaningful lives. And, for the last 40 or 50 years, Americans have, for whatever reason, we've fallen into this trap and I think it's because of the money. I think they don't trust the dollar. And so we have become these ultimate consumers, but then we are a slave.
We're cattle for them.
To those things. But if we look, and I've done a lot of kind of study of this, of what is a happy life, like at the end of life, what makes up a happy life. And it boils down to 6 or 8 things, and I keep this list on my desk, but community is a huge portion of that, and being surrounded by people that, you can share meals with and thoughts with, and just, it doesn't have anything to do with money. And so when the Bitcoiners, I feel like we are trying to evangelicalize this to the nation or to the world, not because we have self-economic interests, but that because we see when we embody the values that are so closely aligned with Bitcoin and the spirituality of, living, working for the abundance of others, like the entire world benefits, and we can live in a less, I just wish we could sort of get rid of the word stress and get rid of the word busy. I never, people say, how are you? I never use the word busy. I think it's such a cop-out, such a lazy answer. I also really believe that working is a God-given privilege. We are so lucky that we have purpose. That's another big part of the end of your life, is looking back and did I live with purpose? Well, I think, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I just want someone to hear me. And I know that I'm like, I want to feel relevant, but it's past that. It makes me feel like I have purpose when I can translate something that maybe provides someone else some value. I don't know where I was going with all that, but you asked for something spiritual.
Yeah, and I agree. And this will take me into something else that we could talk about too, but I know we're probably going to run out of time in a little bit. But I do think, like, when I really decided to, actually, when I felt like God was kind of talking to me and telling me, like, you need to do things different, right? This is back like 2018. One of the things that has allowed me to grow spiritually was Bitcoin. It's not that Bitcoin did that to me, right? I'm not saying, oh, Bitcoin came down and what? No, but Bitcoin allowed me to use my time to grow spiritually and, like, be a better dad, be a better husband to my wonderful wife over there, executive producer Sarah, but the time aspect of it, right? And from the concept, but meeting the type of people that are in this whole community, and realizing that, man, like, we don't need to be spending our time in this, like, hamster wheel race with this fiat that is constantly dying and draining. It's using your energy that you're putting into work, and you get that as the return, but it diminishes immediately. As soon as you're holding it, it's going away. And so your energy that you put into this is not valued the same once you receive the reward for it. And so I was like, this is garbage. And I started realizing stuff. And I'm telling you, it was all this weird kind of spiritual thing. And I couldn't explain it. I just knew I needed to get out of where I was at.
Every time I tweet something spiritual on Twitter, I lose like 300 followers, which I really love. I think it's
the cleansing.
Yeah,
I'm so happy. Don't follow me if I'm not your jam. Totally don't follow me. I don't really care. But the last time I did this, and I really lost a ton of followers, almost immediately Max Kaiser started retweeting more than one, two maybe, or three of my tweets. And then all of a sudden, like, the follower, it was like different followers.
Right.
So, and I think that's what Bitcoin does. It really, like, helps you align with people who are like-minded.
Right.
It is the ultimate value alignment tool. I may not know anything about you, But if you are a hardcore Bitcoiner, I know that we have values in common, like at the very base layer of values.
Right.
That I would love, respect you, work for your abundance. It's the most magical network. To your point, like it wasn't the coin it wasn't the asset that came down to touch you.
People.
It's the network.
Right. It's the people. And yeah, good job. And
I think one thing with Bitcoin, when you're meeting new people, is if you look like historically, you could look at material things as qualifiers to maybe somebody's perceived success, cars, houses, watches, things like that. And it's like now it's like I kind of use my litmus test as like if you're a Bitcoiner, like you're automatic, like you've already got so much goodwill with me. It's almost like a litmus test for intelligence.
Yeah, big time is.
And I start to like question people that I know that are like smart, who are like have not taken the time to study Bitcoin. I'm like, are you that smart? If you haven't,
I agree, dude. Because like like when you meet those people,
like if you're not like especially like finance people who are not curious enough, who feel threatened by it,
spend some time figuring it out. That's the part I agree.
Read one book.
Yeah,
like, pick the Bitcoin Standard. Read Gradually Then Suddenly. Pick Thank God for Bitcoin. Any of them. Pick one, and spend 12 hours reading it,
and remove your
out of your entire life, and then make. And if you come to the conclusion that this is not your jam, then so be it.
Like remove your ego.
Yeah.
Read the book, be open-minded, and you tell me why it's bad. Like you may not, I'm not saying they're going to go like, sell everything and start freaking buying Bitcoin all day long, but like at least you got to be able to tell me why this is dumb, wrong. How is our thesis not, believable? I agree. I struggle with people who just automatically like, that's the dumbest thing. Why would you do that? That's like,
see, I don't have a problem with people not liking Bitcoin but I am always struck when people dismiss it, what I really love is when I'm at a cocktail party and the husband and wife are standing across from me and they go, "Oh, what are you working on now?" And I go, "I work in Bitcoin." And the wife is like, "Oh, I want to know more about that." And the husband goes, "I'll tell you when I get home. It's like this crypto thing and it's a total scam." And it's always the wife that is like, "Oh, I really want to understand that." It's always the husband who works in finance who stands there and tells us both we're idiots. And I'm like,
well, it's because their entire identity has been tied up in something that now the foundation of it is being shaken.
I think it's more than that. I think it's normal, maybe as Americans in this sort of privileged place that we are, where we feel like we have all the answers. And I think like true just joy is when you finally realize you don't have all the answers.
Knowing we could talk after we stop recording, because I've had some I've been some places where you realize that and you're like, wow, now that I know how much I don't know, I'm free. You know what I mean? It opens up everything.
Pomp talks about that in his new book, How to Live an Extraordinary Life. It was kind of one of his like key principles. And I think a lot of it's like one of the high signs of, he's like, I found the most intelligent people can easily or be persuaded about things that they once strongly believed against.
Right. Yeah. And that's how I feel. That's kind of like the Bitcoin thing. Like, how do you don't like Bitcoin now, but you work in finance? You need to be able to explain to me why. If you can't, I don't care. It's your deal. I'm not going to be mad about it, but like, I know we're probably not going to hang out, that's just the way it is, because you just don't get it, and it's hard. I'll tell you about it, but I've also gotten to a point where it's like, man, we're all going to die. You know what I mean? I
Memento
tell you
mori.
all the time. Like, we're all going to die. I'm not going to spend my energy getting mad at people about it. I'm not going to do it, but I am going to probably just not spend a lot of time around you. But the thing about not knowing that you don't know is like so liberating. And it allows you to have better, deeper relationships with people too, because you can understand them. You know where they're coming from. Like, I remember when I was like that. I do this a lot. I'm like, I remember when I thought that way, and I don't even get mad. It's not judgmental. It's just, you're not there yet. Like, you'll get there when you figure out, I don't know anything. And there's some substances you can take that will help you with this. But yeah.
Well, yeah. But again, it's this idea that perhaps we can all consider how not to live the prescribed life.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I knew for sure raising a daughter that I did not want her to go to school in Texas. I did not actually, I've begged her to drop out of school basically since she started. And I did not want her to seek a traditional job. I did not want her goal to be to move back to Houston and live in a specific area and belong to a country club. And I'm sorry, like to do the debutante ball. I was out to dinner the other night with these 3 lovely people who all have just oceans of money. And it was Sunday, and Saturday night was some deb ball here in Houston, which I for the love, I cannot think of the name.
What is that actually? Like,
it's like a coming out party. It's like your entrance into society, which I think...
It's like a quinceañera?
Yeah, I was going to say it's like a rich white girl's quinceañera.
Yeah, but I think you're older, right? I think you're 18 or 20. I don't know how old you are, but you're... Anyway.
This is like a River Oaks kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you turn 18, you go parade your daughter around.
Well, but so the 3 of them are commiserating that this thing had been the night before, and they were all so tired. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, what is that, like a new restaurant? It was like called like Allegra or something. I'm like, oh, is that a new restaurant? I'm trying to be polite, like I care. And they're like, oh no, it's the debutante thing. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm so white trash. I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, and I'm so grateful to not know.
Right.
Like, can you imagine that you grow up in that?
Right.
That is such a vote of no confidence for you to have a child who your whole life you focus on getting them in the right club. That is a complete vote of no confidence. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Your kid should be, the path forward is on the road. Start freaking walking. Like, go walk your own path.
Right.
You know, go cut down the brush on the way, and you're going to skin your knee and fall and all that. And you should, because, you know, I want our kids to like do great things when we're not here and do great things while we're here. But I mean, think of the burden of a parent who just feels like they have to solve for every problem of their kid, or the worst or super rich parents who, you know, want their kid to have all of the trimmings when they graduate from college. And I'm like, oh my God, my best moments were when I went to Europe after college. I didn't go to my college graduation. Totally. My parents were so mad. I bought a Eurail pass and a plane ticket. And I said, I'm going to Europe. And they said, we're not giving you any money. And I said, well, that's fine. Because I had always worked through actually high school and college. Like, that's fine. I have my own money. And they were just so upset that I wasn't going to, like, you need to get a job. You need to do this. And I'm like, no, you know, and I went, and that trip gave me the confidence that no matter, and this is actually key to my parenting style, is that no matter where I am, I can figure it out.
Right.
You can drop me anywhere, and you can drop Ella literally anywhere. People are always like, you sent her to China when she was in high school for the year by herself? Yeah. I mean, she's on a plane to Brazil right now.
Yeah.
By herself. I mean, like, if you can't drop your kid who's 18 years old in a foreign city, I'm sorry, what were they doing for 18 years?
Right. Yeah.
You know, there are 7-year-olds who feed themselves and clothe themselves and have extreme responsibility in other places. Like, why is it that as Americans we have adopted this role, this mentality that there should be no effort, there should be no struggle. The struggle is literally the best part.
Well, I think that
the only way you grow is through adversity, and through struggle, and so you coddle these kids, and it creates just like the saying, you know, hard times make
tough times make tough men make good times make weak men make bad times.
Yeah. I wish that every kid had to either serve in the military or serve in the Peace Corps or some sort of equivalent. I think, you know, Switzerland,
like 2 years overseas somewhere in the shit.
Switzerland, they have to do it, or if they serve in the military.
Israel, same way.
But in Switzerland, if they serve in the military, I think what it is that they are absolved from paying taxes, or their tax rate's much lower.
Oh, wow.
Because I have a friend who has twin boys. One went the military route and the other one was like, and he went to work for, a big financial center. But like, we should incentivize our kids to
do stuff.
Go grit it out somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we make better kids.
Yep. We're sending Jackson to Italy in March. Soccer tournament, yeah.
Oh, nice.
We're going to go also, but he's like going with his team. So
random, I was just sitting here thinking about this debutante thing and this whole thing.
Stuck on the debutantes, man.
I know.
No, but what if, I mean, speaking of kind of just like community, how cool would it be to have like a Soho house for like Bitcoiners where you can like go into a city?
Oh my gosh, we have those.
Do we?
Dude.
Where?
Casa Satoshi in Mexico City, Bitcoin Park in Nashville. It's kind of like
Park
the
I know what Bitcoin
granddaddy.
Park, which I haven't been yet.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Bitcoin Park is sick.
Well,
but
you know what?
But can we like rinse and repeat and like do this like
we need to.
They just opened the Spaces in Denver. I think is what it's called. Space.
Yeah.
In Bitcoin Park, I mean, talk about spiritual. That's a very spiritual place.
I love what they've done over there.
Like,
is that the Mecca for Bitcoiners?
I think that is probably the best put together.
I've heard nothing but good things.
House.
I just
haven't had
a chance to go yet.
It's like a little campus. Like, you feel at home. It's weird. Like, I'm like, oh man, it's like all my people,
But they have Kathy Wood drops by, Marsha Blackburn, the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority guys are there.
I say Time Variant Authority.
Yeah, I know.
From
the Time Variant. Yeah. Marvel stuff. Yeah. Dorks.
Loki
dorks.
Like, you never know. Art Laffer, you never know who's going to be there. And it's not Taylor Swift. It's always,
oh gosh.
It's always the thinkers. I used to be a Taylor Swift fan. I have to tell you,
I cannot stand her. Come here, Chase. Come here, buddy. We got our.
No, she's.
Come here, dude. We got our Mahomes jersey on. Okay, we're big Kansas City Chiefs fans. We do not wear. He will never be wearing a Travis Swift jersey ever, ever.
She has done such a disservice to women, and I think my overarching dislike of, however you say the other candidate's name, was that she's just.
She who must not be named.
Oh, I just don't know how to say it.
I had a political call and they corrected me on it when I was like, they're like, you don't vote for Harris or Trump. I'm like, Trump. And I said, I'm not voting for I thought I said it right. Kamala. I was like, I'm not voting for Kamala. It is Kamala. I was like, oh, all right. Well, I'm definitely not voting for her now, but it's Kamala.
Kamala. Okay. All right. Well,
I think. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I mean, and Vice President Harris, I guess, is the most respectful. I really don't mean any disrespect, but
I didn't either. I seriously didn't know.
But that's just not the role model that I want for my child. I don't want her. I don't want somebody that is just pervades every ounce of your consciousness with negativity.
Mm. I mean, I agree. My big thing though, because like I can understand why people would be like, I don't want my kid acting like Trump. I don't want him making fun of people all the time. I think some of it is effective and necessary sometimes.
I think he just doesn't give a fuck.
I don't think he cares. Dude, he's made a lot of money. He's an old guy. He don't care. You know how many old guys have said weird stuff? Like, a lot of them.
That used to be kind of the norm.
You know how weird I'm going to be when I'm old? I'm going to say all kinds of weird stuff. So
very weird.
Yeah, it's like, that.
I look forward to it.
I know. I do too.
Let's be friends.
Oh, we will. So, but regardless of like how they are personally, from a policy standpoint, they have gotten, the left has went, and I know this is going to be, some people are going to stop following us after the show probably, but I cannot get on board with how far they've went from a family standpoint, and like the government trying to get involved in family matters. That is not their role.
They killed a squirrel.
Right. It's absurd.
Shouldn't have killed the squirrel.
Did you see that?
I did see that.
Did you see the squirrel that popped on stage at her concession speech?
No.
There was a squirrel.
I did not see that.
Before she came on, there was a squirrel that was lurking.
That's God's
There's all
way.
this video.
That's
Well,
God's way of
someone
being
probably-
like, you know what?
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to get you a squirrel up here. Just to remind you guys,
They shouldn't have killed the
you shouldn't have
squirrel.
killed that other squirrel.
No.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it's
would you
like,
just
what
come
are
into
you
your house
doing?
and kill your pet?
Right.
Well, also, do you not have anything better to do?
That's the big thing. Like, we got the government going out here and doing this. Are you freaking kidding me? But that's where I'm like, the government role should be so small in our especially the federal government. Not saying the federal government went over and killed the squirrel, but the government matters should be so limited in what they actually are involved with. We've gotten so far away from that. Actually, the pastor at the church we go to in Austin sometimes had a really good little sermon. He was talking about just the roles, right? Everything works good in the church when they're in their lane, right? Everything works good in the family when the family stays in their lane. And everything works fine with the government when they stay in their lane. When they get over in the other lanes, that's when you start getting problems. And it's true. It's like, but your guy's lane has went from this to this because we people have allowed this to happen. I mean, I get frustrated with us as a constituency because it's like, we have to stand up. And I'm glad to see, like, this is the first time that I can remember where I'm like, man, Obama had it, even though I wasn't, probably voting that way. Well, I wasn't. That they at least had a consensus, right? They at least had, he won the popular vote, he won this, he won that. And it felt like, okay, they got that. Trump's victory this time, it's like, man, you saw a rejection from every state, every single one that was like, it made me feel like, wow, it's not just state by state. There was these differences and you got a red state, blue state. This was one where it was like, no matter where they're at, even though he lost New York, and people were like, I'm not putting up with this garbage anymore. And I'm going to vote based on the candidate that is probably going to stay out of my family life and my moral life more. And that was
to drive drive this home even more. Did you see the like state by or city by city, county by county?
Dude.
So there is no such thing as a blue state.
Right.
There's blue cities.
Yeah.
Right. And everything else was red across the
Well,
board.
and did you see, which is, I mean, that's typically how it happens, right? The cities are what carries the
Electoral
Democrats.
college,
Is
yeah.
like, yeah. And so because of the electoral college. But did you see, this was the funniest thing I saw the entire time.
Other
it was on
than the view
CNN.
meltdown.
Well, other than the view,
Yeah.
prior to the election getting called, Steve Karnacki will show the map, and I can't remember the guy on CNN that was doing it, but he's got his map pulled up, and they're comparing.
I did.
You know what I'm talking about? They're comparing results for Trump Harris this year, Trump Biden last cycle, and Trump Clinton the one before. So I go back for the show and stuff. When they're like, well, here's a county by county look of where Harris outperformed Biden 4 years ago. Not a single county, not one. And the guy's like,
and the guy said that.
he goes, not a single one. He goes, nuh-uh, zero.
press
Like,
refresh.
Oh my gosh. That's what I'm talking about though, is where there was people, regardless of where you live, that were like, this is too much. This is too much. And that even signals to me the exit polls where you had 32% identify as Democrats on the exit polls. That's nothing. If I was a Democrat, which I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but if I was a Democrat, that would terrify me. That because the young vote got out, the male vote got out, and the female vote got out. And 32% of election day voters identify as Democrat. Like, that is not a good number. And so that's why I'm like, people are recognizing the overstep of that entire party. And I think it has to do with energy. I think it has to do with moral issues, social issues.
Did you see the election turnout charts over the last 3 elections and how
and
this massive anomaly for the last election is? It looks pretty damning.
Yeah.
Did you see that Biden is like rushing through more money to Ukraine today?
Oh, I'm sure they
I mean, I saw a
because they know
headline.
it's
I didn't
ending.
investigate, but
Yeah, that Bitcoin go up.
What about Joe Biden's red suit?
I loved it.
That
Is
was
that-
a
is that-
signal.
Is
Had
that a
to be a
signal?
Oh,
signal.
big time.
Oh yeah, they don't. everything.
Because you look, I mean,
about them is
she's been in a baby
meticulous.
blue suit like
Right,
the entire time when they were
time.
campaigning, and then election day she's in a red suit.
Yeah, they are meticulously cautious about what they wear on all these things. That it was clearly a signal. And honestly, the only person who was probably happier than Donald Trump was maybe Joe Biden. Joe Biden, if he remembers that there was an election, he's probably happier than.
It seemed like he had like these, like, obviously he's struggling with dementia most likely, but it had like these moments of like clarity when he like would put on the hat and kind of joke around and things like that. And I think even the potentially the quote unquote like the garbage comment could have been
plant.
He was like, "Hey, I'll throw myself under the bus to nuke this." That gave them so much material to go and Trump to hop in a garbage truck and Vivek to go and like deliver, and everybody's just like, "Yeah, we're trash." Like, it was interesting.
I also saw a funny one. Now I know we got to wrap up pretty quick, but I saw another funny one where what people can do with AI now is great, but it had Trump like running away holding these cats. And Kamala like chasing him with like a frying pan or a knife or something. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious. So, but
again, meanwhile, we have 6-year-old children that watch TV, and this is the garbage that they see, and this is the garbage they hear us talking about. It's like, can we just all work on our narrative or let's use our energy to
be positive.
Can we just
push things forward?
Let's for the next 4 years, let's just be positive. Right.
Yeah. I'm hoping this is another hope, Lisa. I'm not saying this is what it is or a fact, but I'm hoping because of the resounding nature of the victory for, the right, that there is more of an attitude of support of like, not necessarily support, but acceptance from the left. And
I saw this older than me woman launched over today looking like she just lost her 6 cats in a flood in her house, and her house was wrecked. I don't think that they're going to pull it together. I really don't. Like,
I don't either.
Deep
I'm just
sadness
hoping.
Was resonating from this woman, and it's in a lot lot and we need to just lay down.
I don't understand
the victim mentality, no matter where you are, no matter who you voted for. Lay down the victim mentality. There's stuff to do, right? And if you don't know what to do, I used to tell Ella this when she went to sleepaway camp. I don't know why I was worried that perhaps she would be homesick because I'm such an amazing parent. And I would say, look, if you get homesick, what's strategy number 1? And she'd say, I know what to do. I'll go ask for a job. Yes, go ask for a job. Go clean the cabin bathroom. Go sweep the cafeteria. Go tell them you need to do labor because labor in service of others makes all of your problems go away. Yeah, just ask me. Like, although I was in service of myself yesterday or during the election that night, I couldn't watch it. Although I had all these, Bitcoin veterans, Bitcoin magazine, all these things going, but I was like scrubbing the little crevices in my bathroom on my cabinets and I was like, all right, we're going to just try to keep the brain engaged in something else besides this garbage. Like, let's just push other things forward. So whatever your thing is that you can push forward. My dad just died. Like, life is so short. Yeah. Like, get everything you want to do accomplished today. Start.
Right. Don't wait.
Like, even if it's just totally wrong and you're a complete flop. Like, I heard someone on a Twitter space maybe a year ago saying they had let their kids down. They had failed. They had a business deal that went south, and they were publicly saying this. And I hopped on stage and I said, best thing you can ever do in front of your kids, I really believe this, is fail in front of your children. Because one day they will fail and they won't go jump off a bridge. Right. They'll be like, okay, well, my mom really screwed this up and she recovered. So now I really screwed this up and I'll recover.
You recover. Right.
Right. Like, go fail and do something.
Right.
But, I hope that's where we can go after, this is done. Let's lay all this down. Let's just put positive energy into the world. And
I guess to bring it full circle, with the incoming administration, I think that the environment to do that is going to be created. And so that's what will be pushed. And the cream will rise just like it always does. People have opportunities, and obstacles that are in the way of some of those opportunities are going to get easier. There's still going to be obstacles. Just, I don't know. You guys should read The Obstacle Is the Way if you haven't.
I haven't. I
Ryan
will.
Holiday. It's very good. He's like my favorite author. But yeah, just go after it. Like the things that normally would be in our way from a bureaucratic standpoint or red tape area, a lot of it's going to get removed. This is going to be a very, very exciting time for people who want to take the bull by the horns and get after it. So I'm happy, and I'm very happy. Big thing I'm happy about from this, and I know, people, nobody's perfect, and I do not, again, I'm not a Trump worshiper or anything like that. But what is going to happen now is that the entire Bitcoin community that we've had, not that we've been hiding, but we've been kind of screaming out at people for years, is now getting welcomed into a whole new world from where we've kind of been on the outside, knocking on the door, trying to get in and talk about it. Now we're going to get welcomed in, and we need to take advantage of it. We in the right ways. Like, we need to be good stewards of our messaging and making sure that we're trying to bring people together and be positive. And I think it was just a super opportunity for the whole Bitcoin community.
It is. Thanks for what you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you.
I'm continuing to.
That's why we wanted to have you on here.
Sit
for
here.
this one.
Well, thanks.
Oh.
I love it, and I can remember like meeting you two for the very first time, and it feels like that was a long time ago.
I bet you had a meetup for that was the first time we met. Yeah,
I've met really so many of my very favorite people at the Houston Bitcoin meetup.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
We met a golf cart.
Right, we met a golf cart. Yeah,
at our event.
Yeah. That was the New Wave one.
Yeah,
which we're gonna put together something that's kind of
let's hit people with a pitch. Let's see the response.
You do the pitch.
So we've been talking about possibly doing something like invite only. We're
going to make it exclusive, like the Deb thing?
Yes, it's an exclusive.
We were just talking about that, not doing that, but okay, yeah.
Destination thing, probably like 2 days.
Maybe 3.
We don't even know how many people, but like, relatively
Fred Krueger
small
just did this
like
in LA.
intimate.
I did not attend, but there was another thing I went to out there at the same time. I don't know how many people they had, 150 people?
Oh, I'm thinking smaller than
fabulous.
that.
I mean, from all accounts.
60, 70 people.
Yeah,
Like New Wave.
like
We did
people.
New Wave, which I think was, when I was with DW, that was one of the coolest things that we'd ever done, which is obviously how we met.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like 75 people there, and we did it at Horseshoe Bay.
It was great.
And
that was the best event.
Just
You guys didn't invite me.
this is before I knew you.
This is a long time ago.
That's how long ago it was.
This is a long time.
So it's been a minute. This is before the first Empower. This was 2021.
Yeah, late.
Y'all were
like
the first
October.
conference that asked me to speak.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and now you're famous.
Now you're like super famous and
To all 10 people in Bitcoin.
you're the leading lady of Bitcoin.
No, there are a lot of them.
first lady
There are
of
a lot of
Bitcoin.
A lot of great ones.
There's a lot of great-
There are a lot of great people
There are.
in Bitcoin. I feel like I'm an advocate for freedom.
Freedom
like,
advocate.
I'm like a freedom mama. Like I want to just pass along the freedom of thought. Like, pull your kids out of school, let them skip school, take them back to school late, homeschool them, encourage your
Homeschool.
kids to
Homeschool.
think,
Yeah.
right? Like, I love when I call Ella like on a Saturday and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? And she'll be like, I'm just sitting here thinking. Really? How long have you been thinking? Oh, like 3 hours. Really? You're thinking. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
No one thinks, right? We're all just in this sort of prescribed notion of what our life looks like. And let me go to Orange Theory because whatever. I mean, great, go exercise. But anyway, I'm so excited for kind of the freedom of thought that comes with embracing this I think we've turned the page in our society. We have literally turned the page. It's better than the creation of fire. It's better than the Industrial Revolution. We're going to look back in 4 years and 8 years and 12 years on a different country and just think, wow, like we lived 100 years in the last 12. And I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, me too. And I feel like this next 4 years is like, we can build such an integral part of the whole ecosystem of the country. It's almost like, how do you even get rid of it at that point? You know what I mean? So that's why it's so important to me. But carry on about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so sorry.
I'm kind of, like a mini Bretton Woods of Bitcoin. Like, how cool would that be?
Oh, that'd be
Of
so
just
cool.
like, it's kind of a retreat, make it fun. We'll make it invite only. If you guys are interested, shoot us a message. I think we want to put together an official kind of like, hey, we're interested in kind of thing, and just see if this is a thing. If nobody wants to do it, then we're not gonna do it. But like,
we're thinking like way out in the woods or the mountains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very rustic and like.
Let's find somebody that has like a hunting camp, like a.
So we have a potential.
It's like a really rustic place. Let's not make it nice, because I don't want people that just want to show up and be at a 5-star hotel.
We don't want it to be like that.
We could do it in Broken Bow. I've run traps on this with one of our friends who has who's got a bunch of cabins out there. These are very large cabins that sleep like 20 something people.
You're gonna make me sleep with 20 other people like, in the room. Like, you know what? I'm a really quiet, still sleeper. I just want to. Okay, all right. I'm down.
I think there's
down.
optionality. I
never went to camp. We never had any money. I went
we'll
to
bring
church
like
camp,
camper. Like, I got a camper. We got a tent on top. There's a lot of different options.
I really want a camper.
We love it.
How cool would that? What if we just did like our own Burning Man? We just got a whole bunch of RVs out. That's kind of what
I'm thinking, man. That's a little bit of what I was thinking. Is like
we just take a whole bunch of RVs to the desert.
Yeah, we go sleeping.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll sleep in our camper when we're at home.
So I met these super cool people. I'll make this like really brief, but I met these super cool people at a Bitcoin event recently. And come to find out that the guy was on the original Cypherpunks mailing list. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, like he'd been mining since, the beginning. They're both hugely privacy focused. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like they must just, wow, their life must be so different, right? It must be amazing. And I said, like, what'd you guys do this summer? And they go, oh, well, we bought this used camper and we just go park it in one of the national parks. I was like, these are my people.
That's how we are. That's how we are. And it's like,
like, that's like takes me back to my grandparents did that.
Yeah.
Like they just fished and took their camper all over, and like
there's nothing better than sleeping in the camper. We did Christmas last year in a camper. It was great.
Yeah, let's do something like that. That'd be great. Let's do the anti Four Seasons Bitcoin conference.
Yes, that's what I want.
Just down and dirty.
Yeah.
Smoking meats.
Right. And having little breakout Bitcoin sessions and things like that. And like in other sessions that are, we're probably gonna have people do NDAs and stuff when they show up. So it'll be good. Okay. It's fun. Then.
Just sign the iPad.
Just sign the iPad.
Who are they reaching out to for this?
You reach out to me. Send me an email.
Yeah.
What do they have your email?
jacobwcorley@gmail.com. That is my personal email. Or you can send me. Well, I'm going to give you my phone number. I'll give you my email address. So shoot me if anybody's interested, or if you have any ideas of how to make this like really cool. We want to do this purely for community, and so we will spearhead this and hopefully have a ton of fun. I think this is something we've been talking about for a long time. So
really,
we just need to make this happen.
We do. We have been talking about it for a while. There's a really good list of people that I already know that would want to be a part of it. Probably 15, 20 that
I think
be really good influential people too.
Yeah, but we want new people.
Yeah, no, we'll get new people too. But in a lot of these are ones that you probably don't even know. So maybe not influential, but very involved in the space.
Right.
Impactful.
Yeah, impactful. Very impactful people.
There's a lot of people who move in the shadows that are actually very impactful in this space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be great.
Okay, so don't announce where it is.
No,
we have no clue.
I know, but don't announce it until like it's
the day of.
Not the day of, but like you've got to sign up, you got to pay your money or however you're going to do it. And then we don't want it.
And this is not we don't intend to make any money on this. This is literally.
No, I know.
This will be.
But I don't want all the strangers in the world showing up.
Right,
I don't want Elizabeth Warren showing up and wanting to hang out with us.
That would be interesting.
I would
if
love
she did
for her
that.
to come hang out with us. She's not going to last very long, but I would love for her to come hang out with us.
Elizabeth,
she would leave.
Hit this real quick.
Yeah. Elizabeth, try this. We'll talk Bitcoin afterwards. It won't work.
Thanks for coming. This was
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Sorry we digress some and jump around.
This is one of the longest episodes we've ever done.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, let's kill it.
See you guys in the next one.